So the last thing we're going to work on with our double bubble chart is actually the differences or the elements of each text that are unique to that particular text. So if we want to start with lost, let's get back to the poem. And some of the ideas that are unique to lost. Um, I'm reading here about the rain and the slush and kind of feeling suffocated by these by this modern life, um, overwhelming aspects of modern life. That's not really something that the article got into. They talked about kind of being the last ones that knew the language, but not necessarily how they have been overwhelmed by society all at once, kind of like this one feels like. So I'm gonna say that the speakers let's see, I'll say the speaker feels overwhelmed by his current situation. Okay. And then if I look a little bit further, with him thinking about the kind of life that his forefathers had as compared to what he has, he asked himself, um, if he would like the kind of life his forefathers had, who wandered around further and further. Would he like to just be in the quiet, be lost in their dreams, be lost in his wishing? So he's really questioning if he would even enjoy or he would even be happy to live a life like his ancestors, which is very different than what the article is about, where they're trying to preserve parts of their native culture. So the speaker questions whether he would even like to live like his ancestors. So he's definitely conflicted about the type of life he's living. Okay, so we have loss done. So now let's go over to the Peruvian government. And again, just like we did here, talking about the threat of outside society, and we said that then that feels threatening, any of these could actually turn into an L too. So for example, the speaker feels overwhelmed by his current situation. Overwhelmed is an L2. Okay. The speaker questioning whether he would even like to live like his ancestors, questioning, that is an L2. That's a thought, okay? That's an idea. That's a concept of questioning, okay? So depending on how your question is asked, it asks you to compare and contrast things. You might have to take what looks like a bigger, more thematic idea and put it into an associative word. Okay, so let's move on to the Peruvian government. Um, so something I noticed with this one, now that I'm looking more at the differences, is that the government here, I'm on the back page, the government's working to develop writing systems that will translate to put the language online. So they are trying to work with modern technology to preserve culture, and that's not something that we see in loss necessarily. It's kind of in loss, it's like one or the other. And they're trying to figure out here in the informational text about um, how to combine history, their heritage, with modern culture. So that's something definitely unique. How to combine history, in this case with language, with modern culture, or even better, society. Okay, because it's a little bit broader. and include some more things. Okay, so in that same idea, I don't think it is a question that these languages and this heritage are important now, especially to the government trying to maintain them. So I think that heritage, there's no question necessarily of whether that culture is important. So there, the speakers of the language, the government are valuing or they value um, cultural heritage of indigenous groups. Okay, and that's something we don't really see a lot in the poem. Okay, so hopefully the double bubble chart just helps you to see the differences here. This is going to be the contrast and the similarities here, and this is what you're able to compare. Okay, and then over here you have the differences. These are what's unique to those specific texts. Okay, so now that you have done this, you will be ready to move on to the next part of the assignment, which is actually analyzing how those differences work and drawing some connections.